Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spin Through It podcast. Going right into it today with the news. First of all, Vircurex faces class action lawsuit. So this is an old exchange that's facing a lawsuit. In the typical fashion, it died because it got hacked. As I said many times before, when an exchange gets hacked, it's basically the end for it. I don't think I'm pretty sure 90% of exchanges that get hacked just die within that year. It ends exchanges most of the time, and the fact that usually when they get hacked once, it makes them a more likely target for hackers to try to hit up again, because obviously they're flawed. But this suit is over some frozen funds that the exchange planned to issue as kind of recovery funds for those who lost stuff in the hack. And, the people who are suing are basically claiming the exchange still has funds available to be distributed. They're kind of trying to hold back using whatever methods they can to kind of delay having to pay it out in hopes people don't redeem them. And it's basically what they're claiming. I'm not sure how this is going to go, since the exchange has been dead for a long time. I personally didn't use this one, but if it goes the way MintPal did or Cryptocurrencies did, it's definitely... They definitely can face the wrath of some governments on the individual level. So the owners still getting pursued. So I don't know what to make of it, though, since, like I said, it's pretty old exchange, and to me it seems like even trying to do something, like even trying to sue this exchange might not come with anything, since you don't even really know if these funds are in their control or not. And I don't know, this is one of those things, like I'm just going to skip down and cover this one now, how these Mississippi doctors sued Mt.Gox for Bitcoin loss that's worth $133 million. Probably not that much now since we've faced some dips. But these two cases are kind of similar, and these doctors, they're suing for coins they lost before Carpals even took over Mt.Gox, though, which makes that another kind of situation like the other one, where it's questionable if these people even are able to get these funds back. And the even worse part of this one is that they waited way too long. Like, they waited around 3 years to even report this, which obviously they only did it because they realize, this stack of Bitcoin's worth a lot of money. So yeah, both these situations don't look too good for the outlook if you're trying to recover coins. For these kind of things, you need to act quickly and report it quickly, because even if it's going to take a long time, like how the current Gox situation took years, at least you've locked in that you legally locked in that you were trying to get your stuff back and trying to redeem them. Or you might get locked out like these doctors because they waited 3 years, and you could argue that because they waited so long, it's not even valid, because it might be outside the statute of limitations or whatever. So be swift with your actions when trying to pursue legal action, basically. Bitcoin mining hardware firm posts massive 2017 profits. So this big mining hardware manufacturer is boasting 46 million in profits, and their products are used for around 20% of the hash power, which is a significant sum. However, most of their sales are Chinese users, which poses a big risk because China is shaking up crypto yet again and basically forcing the big time miners out to migrate to other countries. And I don't know if the small time miners will even be able to survive. So something tells me these 2018 profits won't be as good as 2017, just because China's attitude towards mining is a lot more hostile than it was. South Korean cryptocurrency investors face fines for anonymous accounts. So this is very obvious. There is no way you could expect that a country would allow anonymous accounts for forever. However, the big concern here is for situations like decentralized exchanges where you don't have to necessarily put your real name to it. Will they get fined for that? And if so, that's concerning. But yeah, you can expect this to be something that's rolled out in a lot of countries where you are legally penalized somehow for trying to own anonymous accounts, and this is mainly because money laundering reasons. That's why they're kind of so super serious about this, just trying to be able to tie fund transfers and track them to combat money laundering and track your taxes. So, like I said, this is only a real concern if people get in trouble for using pseudonyms on decentralized exchanges and such. But until a case like that comes up, I don't think people will be too amped up to challenge the Korean government on this one. Kazakhstan, president's proposing a global cryptocurrency known as G Global. And as crypto is getting more and more popular, more governments are legitimizing it. And Kazakhstan, a surprising country, is trying to get people on board, other countries on board for this global currency. The main reasons are because international transfers are expensive, and they want to help. They want a coin that facilitates international transfers. You know, this probably sounds familiar to a lot of people, but they mainly want it to be controlled and maintained directly by banks, central banks and such. So, who knows? I don't think we will see any kind of united crypto effort anytime soon. We'll have to see countries provide their own frameworks before we even think about some kind of global crypto, unless some world, what are they called, the IMF or whatever, unless they like roll out some weird framework. Nationwide, insurance rolls out proof of insurance on the RiskBlock blockchain. So this is one of the obvious industries where blockchain technology is really good. And like I said, obvious inputs are for data verification and validation. And because of the nature of this technology, it's much more efficient. It's faster, and it helps cut down on fraud that you could find, using traditional verification of insurance. So expect more industries to adopt this technology, because it does help streamline a lot of paper document processing and such, that with the time it takes to process these documents, businesses are losing money, and I'll have another situation, another headline soon where I'll explain that a bit more. Next up, Ethereum Classic devs aim to address scaling with Callisto Sidechain. So, pretty interesting. It's going to use smart contracts to reward staking, which is new, totally new. And it will give you more interest the longer you hold. It diverts from proof of stake because it doesn't actually need users to actively run the wallet software, and all the staking's done via the smart contract. So every Ethereum Classic holder will get a 1-to-1 rate on this as the block, as long as they have, their ETC sitting in their wallets before the block height passes 550,000. Basically, this is the testing ground for new innovations that may or not make it to Ethereum Classic. Pretty good. It will be really interesting to see how this smart contract staking works out, because that's pretty unique. And with the issue smart contracts can have, it will be something to see if they don't run into any unforeseen accidents with the contract, either having some kind of flaw in it or just a point of exploit. Lithuania's central bank is unveiling blockchain startup Sandbox. So the really only major thing about this is that means project money for startups instead of having to do ICOs, and I'm sure by the time this launches next year, it'll be pretty difficult in the ICO sphere. And this funding will help some people do their projects out of passion rather than pure profit. So next up, German central banker. Cryptocurrencies must be regulated on a global scale. So if you've been listening, I've been saying this is the only way for governments to really be able to control crypto, and the things I said are being echoed by this central banker. We have already seen that businesses they just flee to other countries if one country gets too restrictive. Markets adapt when countries get cut off from the rest of the industry, and people find a way to access their crypto. So the only way governments were able to do anything cohesive against crypto would be a united front, and we know how hard it is for governments to unite on some things. So I think it will end up being some kind of weird financial institution driven unification whenever crypto starts getting these unified world frameworks rather than it being governments actually coming together. St. Louis Fed. So they're saying in some ways that Bitcoin is more robust than fiat currencies. So this report actually praised Bitcoin quite a bit, citing it was more robust because arbitrary changes cannot be imposed into the system without massive consensus, which is the direct opposite of how fiat currencies work. They don't need massive consensus to be changed, or like you can just, if you're in control of them, you can print more or do whatever you want with them. But major risks cited are for Bitcoin is forks, mining, and volatility. Basically all the things you'd expect. Personally, I feel like forks aren't really a danger, considering most forks just end up being irrelevant. Mining is a future concern that is a bigger concern as time goes on, but right now people are able to ignore it because it's still minor in comparison to a lot of things. And then volatility, no clue how we're going to solve that besides having a more mature market. most of these stable coins haven't really provided much use. So I think it's too early to say anything about volatility, and it's probably the biggest risk because it can't be avoided as easily as avoiding the effects of forks, or avoiding the effects of mining. Russia businessman buys power plant for cryptocurrency mining. So paid about $3 million for these power plants, and it's in conjunction with Russia's move to legitimize crypto, because they're voting on what they're gonna, like, they're voting on their stance on crypto. And I guess he must have some insider information that it's gonna go in the right direction, to see he's buying a power plant. Good thing for him, he won't have to worry about cooling that much, because, you know, Russia, $400,000 hacker makes off with stolen Lumens and black wallet theft. So this has been another DNS attack. This always happens, it seems. It's always a DNS attack or a JavaScript attack. Usually DNS for more sophisticated things like wallets, but cybersecurity will grow even more important in the future. The funds were apparently transferred to Vircurex, and hopefully they'll freeze the funds, because BTC got in the habit of allowing hackers to cash out, and that didn't work out that well for them. The whole exchange got shut down because of one bad actor inside of it. Telegram CEO officially confirms Gram Token.io ICO is fake. So I'm sure you've heard about the Telegram ICO, and I'm sure I've mentioned it once before as the big news. So apparently it was all elaborate fake. The warning signs were kind of there, I guess, because, you know, it didn't appear on anything official, like any Telegram website, the official Twitters or anything. It was plastered like everywhere, though, which says something to the people who were actively advertising this Telegram ICO. They didn't do any kind of due diligence to see if it was actually a real thing. But on the media side of it, I'd say it's not surprising that no one really investigated too hard about it, because we're chasing those big news, and sometimes fake stuff like this can pile in too. And once one big place covers it, all the little small places try to cover it too. So just keep that in mind, to make sure you definitely do your own research when you're trying to put money into something, because there's definitely people who lost money to this fake, since they've been accepting contributions for a bit. But it still kind of blows my mind that I've seen plenty of ads for this, and it just seems irresponsible for people to even allow ads on their platform if it's like something that's an outright fake and not just incompetence making it go off the rails. Next up, shipping blockchain. Maersk spinoff aims to commercialize trade platform. So I study supply chain, and kind of headlines like this is cool to me. The big highlights on this is it's streamlining paperwork and business processes, kind of like I talked about earlier with the insurance, how paperwork ends up taking, it takes time to verify paperwork, verify documents and all that. And in supply chain context, if some kind of like document issues arise, you could be, who knows how long it can dispute this, because the more time your product sits there not moving to its destinations, that's more money you are losing. And keeping your product moving is a highly important thing. You don't want it to be stuck in some port or wherever. You don't want it just stuck sitting there waiting, losing value. Well, with every second that goes by of that product not getting to where it needs to go, you're losing money basically. And basically they're trying to help the industry as a whole roll out multiple kind of things that help streamline documents mainly. I know there's a lot of other related things that other companies are doing, like the whole food verification stuff and all that. But this is probably the biggest, like document verification's definitely the biggest for transportation. And this is really good because as more of this stuff gets implemented on, you could see more people being cool with crypto in general. Because we're gonna see more of these blockchain or blockchain, not Bitcoin, and all that garbage arguments that shouldn't even be a thing. But the fact that they're talking about it benefits the industry, even if it's kind of misguided for now. Next up, the probably going to be the headline after I publish this. Actually, definitely going to be the headline. BitConnect shutters crypto exchange site after a regulator warning. So, you 100% should have saw this coming. BitConnect is garbage, and I don't know anyone with any kind of actual, what's the word for it? Credibility. I don't know anyone with any actual credibility talk about how amazing BitConnect is, because they knew it was a scam, knew it was an actual Ponzi scheme that was doomed to fail. And if you happen to be someone who lost from it, that's unfortunate, but I'll admit I wasn't as a crusader against BitConnect as I am against Tether, mainly because I felt like BitConnect was much more obvious, but apparently not. A lot of people lost a decent amount from this, and it's kind of sad, and definitely gonna do my part to expose these kind of things. So I'm gonna go out the way and say right now that be careful with all these lending platforms, because those are the most suspect to be really scammy and all that. And I think there's a new one already that's like Daver Coin or something like that, does the exact same thing. So just be aware. The biggest tip to follow is if anything is thriving off referrals, you should be raising red flags. And if someone is, and regarding these BitConnect influencers, if someone is constantly pushing referral links, they are not good people to be following, because they're just trying to make money off of they're trying to play off ignorance of people who just started to make money off of them, because pushing referrals is a just personally disgusting tactic. There's nothing wrong with referrals on their own, but if you push a single referral constantly, you're just trying to make money. And them having entire videos with them promoting, but acting like they're not actually promoting BitConnect it was just stupid. So just be aware of anybody who straight up talks about something all the time, but act like they're not actually promoting it and say how amazing. And it was just one of those situations where if it sounded too good to be true, it was probably too good to be true, and you should just be careful with your money. But yeah, I'm gonna try to highlight scams like this more. I'm still really suspect about tethers. I think that's gonna be bad whenever that whole thing blows up. And like I said, be aware of all these lending platforms. All of them are kind of sketchy sometimes. Might as well go out there and say those Bitcoin doublers are also garbage. Should be obvious, but just saying. Yeah. Just be careful what you invest in and who you watch, because not everybody's looking out for you, especially on YouTube. I've seen a lot of very newbie bait videos posted that are just nothing but clickbait, get rich garbage. And one of the reasons why I really didn't care about my presence on YouTube that much, but might be forced to care because YouTube is pretty important for growth. But moving on to the final two topics. Proposed U.S. task force would tackle crypto use in terror financing. So really the government's doing one good thing, and they are rewarding anyone who's assisting in the seizure of crypto that's being used for illegal uses / terrorism. So if you get some ISIS member that had $100,000 of Bitcoin and the government actually able to seize it, apparently get a portion. Who knows how big that portion will be, but you do get an award. I wouldn't expect more than 10%, honestly, but hey, something. You can also expect the IRS to be tighter on exchanges in the future, because that's going to be kind of coordinated with this effort to, quote, restrain terrorism, which kind of dumb because terrorism's probably more financed through other means than Bitcoin right now. And then finally, Poland is developing national cryptocurrency. So I've been talking about a lot of countries that are forming their own cryptocurrencies, and Poland's actually the closest to having it be a real thing. This one could actually roll out relatively soon if it had the proper regulatory approval. It was actually pretty interesting to see how, like, this is really another move toward like one of those more cashless societies. And one of the major regions decided that blockchain's way better for payment processing. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it was obvious for them to try to do a little digital national currency. My main concern with it is they also want to kind of use banks to maintain it, and I'm not sure exactly how they're going to go about protocol-wise with doing it, but right now I think it's still going to be stuck in like research phase, because getting regulatory approval from the European Union and such, it's going to take time. And that's it for this Thursday. See you guys Monday. stay aware of who you're giving money to. Be careful with all these ICOs, and don't forget to share and rate 5 stars on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to. See you Monday.